What if I told you that in 1997, inside a quiet neighborhood in California, 39 people were found dead in a single house, all dressed the same, all following the same belief? And the part that makes it even stranger is that they weren't hiding. They weren't confused. They believed they were about to leave Earth. They thought a spacecraft was waiting for them, hidden behind a comet passing through our skies. This wasn't ancient history or some forgotten myth. This happened in modern America, involving ordinary people who once lived completely normal lives. So how does something like this even happen? Before we continue, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and let's dive into how it all began. Long before any group existed, there was just one man trying to rebuild his life. Marshall Applewhite was not born into anything unusual. He was the son of a Presbyterian minister, raised around religion, and later built a career in music. But by the early 1970s, everything started to fall apart. He lost his position as a university music director, his personal life collapsed, and he was left dealing with deep confusion and isolation. Then in 1972, something happened that changed everything. He met a nurse named Bonnie Nettles at a hospital in Houston. The moment they connected, Applewhite believed it wasn't random. He later claimed he felt like he had known her before, almost like their meeting had already been planned. Nettles told him something even more unusual. She said their meeting had been foretold to her by extraterrestrials and that he had a higher purpose. From that point on, the two became inseparable. They started studying religious texts, especially the Bible, focusing on prophecy and the idea of a greater mission. Over time, their conversations stopped sounding like curiosity and started turning into certainty. And that certainty soon turned into something much bigger than either of them could control. As their ideas grew stronger, Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles stopped seeing themselves as ordinary people. They began to believe they had a specific role in something much bigger. They gave up their old identities and started calling themselves Do and Tai. But this wasn't just a name change. They claimed they were the two witnesses described in the book of Revelation, sent to guide people before the end of an era. Their teachings were unlike anything most people had heard. They mixed Christianity with ideas about extraterrestrials and human transformation. They told people that Earth was not the final destination. Instead, they spoke about a place called the next level, where humans could evolve into higher beings and leave this world behind. They even claimed that a spacecraft would come to take those who were ready. This moment, they said, would prove everything. They called it the demonstration. At first, people didn't take them seriously. When they spoke at churches and spiritual groups, their message was often rejected. But they didn't stop. They kept traveling, speaking, and repeating the same idea again and again. And slowly, against all odds, a few people began to believe them. By 1975, things started to change fast. What once sounded unusual was now drawing real attention. Applewhite and Nettles began holding public meetings across the United States, often advertised with simple but curious messages about UFOs and human transformation. One meeting in particular stood out. In Walport, Oregon, around 150 to 200 people showed up to listen. What happened next shocked everyone. After the talk, about 20 to 30 people made a sudden decision. They left their homes, gave up their belongings, and followed the group without looking back. To the outside world, it looked like people had simply vanished. Families were left confused with no clear explanation. The situation even reached national news, with reports questioning whether these individuals had disappeared on some kind of trip to eternity. But this wasn't random. It was planned. Those who joined were now part of something called the crew. They were expected to cut ties with their past lives completely. No family, no money, no normal routine. Soon after, the group went underground, avoiding attention and moving quietly across the country. And once they stepped into that world, there was no easy way back to the life they had left behind. Once inside, life changed completely. This was no longer a loose group of followers. By 1976, recruitment stopped and the group turned inward, creating a controlled and isolated lifestyle. Members were expected to give up everything that connected them to their old lives. That meant no personal possessions, no close relationships, and no sense of individuality. Everyone lived together, shared everything, and followed strict daily routines designed to remove distractions. They dressed alike, acted alike, and even spoke in ways that separated them from the outside world. The idea was simple but powerful. If they wanted to reach the next level, they had to stop being human in every possible way. Sexual relationships were completely banned, and over time, this rule became even more extreme. 8 men in the group, including Applewhite, voluntarily underwent castration as a way to remove human desires. Members were also taught to see their own bodies differently. They didn't call them bodies anymore. They called them vehicles, something temporary that would eventually be left behind. Everything about their lives was focused on one goal, because to them, this wasn't just a lifestyle, it was preparation for leaving Earth entirely. At the center of everything was one idea that held the group together. They believed Earth was just a temporary place, and humans were not the final form of life. According to their teachings, followers could transform themselves into immortal extraterrestrial beings by rejecting their human nature. They called this destination the next level, or the evolutionary level above human. It wasn't described as a symbol or metaphor. To them, it was a real place, somewhere beyond Earth, where advanced beings existed. Their beliefs went even further. They taught that aliens planted the seeds of current humanity millions of years ago and would one day return to collect those who had evolved enough to join them. But not everyone could go. Only those who followed the rules, gave up their attachments, and fully committed would be chosen. Everyone else would be left behind. They also believed that many religions on Earth had been corrupted, influenced by deceptive forces that kept humans from reaching this higher level. To them, this wasn't strange or extreme. It was logical. It explained the world, their purpose, and their future. And once someone truly believed this, there was almost nothing that could pull them back. In 1985, something happened that should have shaken the entire foundation of the group. Bonnie Nettles, known as T, died after being diagnosed with cancer. This was a serious problem. For years, the group believed they would leave Earth together, physically, without dying. But now, one of their leaders was gone. Instead of breaking apart, the belief system changed. Applewhite redefined what ascension meant. He began teaching that the human body was only a container or vehicle, and that true movement to the next level didn't require the body at all. According to this new idea, Nettles hadn't failed. She had simply gone ahead, leaving her physical form behind while her consciousness moved on. After this shift, Applewhite took full control. The group became more structured, more disciplined, and more focused than before. Membership, which had once reached around 200 people in the mid-1970s, slowly declined as the rules became stricter. Those who stayed were more committed than ever. The group no longer waited for a physical sign. They were preparing for something deeper, something that required complete belief. And as their numbers shrank, their certainty only grew stronger. By the mid-1990s, the group had become smaller, quieter, and almost completely cut off from the outside world. Their numbers had dropped to around 39 members, all living together and fully committed to the belief. Then, something appeared in the sky that changed everything for them. In early 1997, Comet Hale Bopp became visible across the world. To most people, it was just a rare and beautiful event. But to the group, it meant something else entirely. They believed the comet was a signal, not just a sign, but proof. They became convinced that a spacecraft was travelling behind it, hidden from normal view. This, they believed, was their moment, the chance they had been waiting for since the beginning. In the days leading up to it, they prepared carefully. Members recorded farewell videos, calmly explaining that they were ready to leave Earth.
I just want to say how thankful I am to Doe and T for helping me and taking me under their wing, and all my classmates have been so great to me and all the problems I've caused.
Their website was updated with a message that read, "Our 22 years of classroom here on planet Earth is finally coming to conclusion, graduation from the human evolutionary level." Everything was organised, everything was planned. And as the comet moved closer, they believed their time on Earth was coming to an end. In March 1997, inside a large house in Rancho Santa Fe, California, everything reached its final point. The group had rented a 9,200 square foot mansion where all 39 members were living together in complete isolation. Over the course of 3 days, they carried out a carefully planned and coordinated act. The process was done in groups, with members assisting each other before taking their own turn. Each person followed the same steps. They wore identical black clothing, along with brand new black and white Nike Decades shoes and armbands that read Heaven's Gateway Team. They also carried small, unusual items. A $5 bill and 3/4 were found in their pockets, something the group had used as a symbolic gesture tied to their beliefs. When everything was over, the bodies were placed neatly, covered with purple cloths, showing how organised the entire event had been. The group included 21 women and 18 men, aged between 26 and 72, all fully committed to the same idea. And when it was finally discovered, the world was left trying to understand how something like this could ever happen. Even years later, this story still feels hard to fully understand. A group that started with questions about life slowly turned into something much more controlled, shaped by belief, isolation, and one powerful idea. What makes it even more unsettling is that these were not random individuals. Many were educated, skilled, and searching for purpose in their own way. It leaves us thinking about how far can belief really take someone, and at what point does trust turn into something dangerous? Let us know what you think in the comments. Before you go, make sure to like and subscribe for more real stories and stuff like this. Thanks for watching.